welcome to, or welcome back to This Week I'm Learning, the podcast where our group of friends goes on tangents, sprints down rabbit holes, and absorbs all of the knowledge, just to bring it back here to you every week. This is episode 69.
Nice.
Ah, that sucked, guys. Recorded November 29th, 2021, and I'm your host, Brandon Vader, also known as Captain Drac. Next to me, we have Charlie Stiffler, also known as Mjolnir. Down below me, we have Cody Stratman, also known as Psychonitrous. And in the corner, because baby is always in the corner when it's just the four of us, we have Mr. Seeker4761, also known as Colton Roper.
Hello.
4761 is the amount of milliseconds that it took me to remember your gamer name for some reason.
Literally been years.
That's a lot of
fine.
lag.
I know.
That's a lot of lag, Brandon.
Yeah. It's the brain. It's the brain. It was definitely a Monday. How was everyone's holiday festivities?
Thanksgiving is good.
Good. Yeah, I had a Thanksgiving meal here on definitely not Thanksgiving in Bangkok, with our person that is missing. He is doing great. He's on some road trips and stuff, so that's why he's not joining us.
Definitely not in prison. Definitely
not in prison. No,
any sort of legal troubles.
Fine. No, he's perfectly fine. Yeah, I would say the meal here was better than 90% of Thanksgivings that I've dealt with because I got to choose the people that I'm with, and the food was good, and there was no potato salad. There was no potato. Instead, they had prime rib bites. Prime rib bites.
Potato
Show of
salad is
hands.
delicious.
Show of hands. Who has potato salad at Thanksgiving?
Am I the only one?
Really?
Really?
I
That's
tried to
fucking
avoid it like the
nasty.
plague.
And not topical. No. Green bean casserole,
delicious.
stuffing,
Ugh.
candied
Can you
yams,
be
Mashed potatoes.
Stuffing. Always
You're just typical. All of you are just typical. That's all that is.
prime
you didn't
rib
let me
bites.
get to my
I raise you
family-specific items,
prime
sir.
rib bites.
I raise you lemon stuff.
Yeah, lemon stuff.
I
is
raise
pretty
you scratch-made pumpernickel bread.
My wife makes scratch croissants. Like, it takes 3 days to
good.
make them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
they
So
are
far, you're winning.
Fucking-tastic. Yeah.
Although, if I have to take all those, are prime rib bites. Prime rib bites.
The Stiffler Baking Company made no less than 300 croissants, 5 pies, and an assortment of other pastry goodiness.
Combine them together.
Yeah.
Croissants with
And-
prime rib bites inside.
With pumpernickel bread on the side, with also prime rib, and then my family's wine.
Yeah.
I do like that wine. It's good wine.
This year it's blueberry Pinot.
Sounds good. Now that Thanksgiving is over,
That looks like a unicorn threw up on its horn and
That
just
is-
is like hiding
That
underground.
is so much fun. That is the way it should be.
No, to be clear,
Okay.
it looks
That
like
is-
a vomit. A unicorn pooped on another unicorn's horn.
It's just sad
know,
how
that's-
sad you
that's
guys
like-
are. It's fun.
Okay.
Who cares?
Do you guys
fun.
remember the Lisa Frank posters that you would paint like very psychedelic colors, and it had like the black felt?
Yeah.
That is what that reminds me of.
no, the unicorn vomit is exactly how I described this to people. Like after I took the picture, I'm like, yeah. So this Christmas tree looks like you. Like what's with the eyeballs, the peace sign, love. Sorry, I have it
Different
backwards.
culture.
But then magical anime Santa thing. I'm not sure
Yeah,
going
it's
on.
not
here.
taking
Moderately
itself too-
stoned.
It's not taking itself too damn seriously. It's supposed to be fun, and that is fun. So I approve. I don't.
I could
But
almost.
was it
I
really
approve
supposed to be fun?
No,
I
no.
could almost see a tree in there.
Yeah, it's
That's the
awesome
point.
because it gives us something to talk about, and that is this is why, strangely enough, I love Thailand. There,
Fair enough.
because
Plus,
this
there's
exists.
You don't see. And it's all about Happy New Year and stuff. And granted, Merry Christmas
true.
is in there too, but most of it's just like, be nice to fucking people. Enjoy life.
True. Peace. Yeah.
Also, stare at people.
Yes.
Yes,
Most
creepily.
importantly,
Okay.
let's
And a
give our
random
tree
rainbow in the
anime eyes.
Now that I think about it, it makes sense because it doesn't snow in Thailand. So why wouldn't it be a rainbow or
Oh,
something
dude,
else?
it's weird. It doesn't feel like almost December. It definitely does not feel like.
It
almost
doesn't
December.
here either. It doesn't here either.
Speaking of not feeling like December, it was 74 degrees in Denver today.
Oh wow. Damn.
We did
We're
snow.
gonna meet
we did
temperatures
we did
soon.
actually have snowfall,
Gingerly touch
but it
our
was
toes.
gone in 45 seconds.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, I looked at this week's forecast. Here in Gunnison, the ice box of Colorado, we are going to hit a high of like 61 this week.
Yeah.
I am seriously tempted to put the battery back in my motorcycle, ride to work, ride my snowboard on lunch, and then ride home on the motorcycle.
Well, I
And
can tell you.
and that will be the day that it dumps 5 feet of snow all of a sudden.
Yep.
I know
You
it's
know
not
what?
supposed
that
to.
And
we
then I'll
need
just-
track to do that then, or you guys need. I don't care.
You know,
I live in
I
Arizona,
bet if
so-
that happened, I
True.
bet if that happened, I could probably just, talk to whoever I needed to at work and be like, hey, I made it snow, so you're going to let me store my motorcycle in the garage all year, right? Yeah.
To bring it out just for snow instead of like a rain dance. We've got Dracanis with a motorcycle getting ready, like he's got the motorcycle leather dance.
Except I wear no leather.
Oh,
It's all synthetic.
well,
I'm a touring
it's a
motorcyclist.
Honda.
Pose.
You want to
Yeah.
know a
Harley.
philosophical
It's all right.
statement?
He's
Do you
more
know why the rain
comfortable.
dance works?
Hmm.
Because they don't stop until it rains.
Makes sense.
Okay. And there's some logic in there. I mean, why would you
Why
keep
would you
going?
stop beforehand?
Yeah, why would you
Stay
keep
tuned
going
for
after it? It's
Brandon
like
to be
looking
dancing.
for
It's
something in the last
Jon
place you
Snow.
found it. Yeah, why would you keep looking? Be like,
I was just going to give
I
a shout
found
out to
it.
John Slankowitz.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
let's get on with topics.
Sorry, off to a rant already. So this week Cody is going to talk about USB-C for confused.
Confuzzled.
And Colton, instead of killing, maybe the Terminator should be used for hoeing instead.
Yeah, boys. Not
I
that.
mean,
Is there going to be
69?
upside the head at any point in this conversation?
Probably.
I hope not. That would be
And
weird.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Teeth?
No.
It's a movie about a
fuck.
female predator that has teeth in a certain place. That
Yep.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep. That's all I can think of.
All right,
with
on that
this.
Not
note,
what-
let's
not
just
what we're
go
talking
move
about.
Let's
to another
keep
topic.
moving.
Yep, go.
So if you dealt with this particular creature, you may want to call 1-800-suffixes.
No, it's 1800 suffixes, you dick.
Oh fuck! I fucked it. What's what? Oh fuck! I did fuck it up. 1800
It's fine.
suffixes.
It's fine.
So
Nope,
long
mine's
before the
funnier.
show
Keep it.
talking
Fuck it.
about that.
It's
We're-
1800 suffixes, but yeah, that's funny.
1-800 suffix. No, mine's better. I meant to do that. Fuck.
All right,
Anyways.
and then Brandon is going to tell us that LCD often doesn't lead to greater profits, especially when the formula is halved.
Halved. Halved.
That's fascinating.
Halved.
Weird ass
Halved.
elves in English language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're going to change up the order a little bit this week and let Charlie go first.
Yeah, that's a nice change. I like that change. So and we've done a discussion about language before, but we really haven't had a conversation about what are the hardest languages in the world to learn. Excuse me, while I burp.
Chinese, I'm guessing.
And the common frequent offenders. You have Mandarin and Cantonese, and you've got Korean, and you've got the Asian languages. Those are kind of a low hanging fruit. But really, when we're
Icelandic?
talking about Icelandic is difficult. it has two functions. So basically, the first function is how different from your language is the language you're trying to learn. So if you speak Portuguese and you want to learn Spanish, there's like 90% overlap. They are incredibly similar. So that would be one level of difficulty. Another difficult level of difficulty is accessibility. If you have to learn the language first person by immersing yourself in that culture because there's only 300 people that speak it, then that would be a very difficult language to learn. And so accessibility is a problem.
So you're saying Navajo, that you probably can't learn this via like online.
Probably not, because none of the people that can speak it have access to the internet, kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Like, there's roughly 6,500 languages in the world that we know about. There's probably a couple thousand more. Over 1,000 of them are on Papua New Guinea alone. Like 1,000 of all 6,500 that we know are on one fucking island in the South Pacific. Like 1,000.
That doesn't surprise me, actually.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Given Southeast Asian history, yeah.
None of the languages of Papua New Guinea are on this list. But coming in at number 5 on the 5th most difficult language to learn, according to some random internet guy, would be Wenzhounese. So Wenzhou is a geographically isolated city on the coast of China, and it was geographically isolated for a couple hundred years from the Greater Mao Dynasty and all that stuff. The thousands and tens and thousands of millions of people that speak Wenzhounese to outsiders sound like they're speaking Chinese, because they actually have root languages that are very similar, but they've had a couple hundred years of divergent evolution in their language. And so Mandarin and Cantonese speakers cannot understand them, because it literally sounds like they're speaking Japanese to them, because it just doesn't compute. There are much more tones, the grammar is much harder, and it sounds nothing like any of the adjacent Chinese languages. There is a saying in Cantonese that I fear neither heaven nor earth, just the Wenzhounese speaking their devil language. When you ask a Chinese speaker what the hardest language in the world to learn would be, they're going to answer Wenzhounese. So, the next most difficult language to learn, coming in at number 4, would be Silbo-Gamero, which is a dialect of Spanish spoken, kind of, on the Canary Islands. And if you guys have ever heard of the Canary Islands, they're off the coast of Northwest Africa. They are very picturesque. This is actually a picture from Tenerife, which is the capital city of the Canaries.
One of the worst 747 accidents ever.
Absolutely. Head-on collision with 2 fully loaded jetliners. It was terrible, absolutely terrible. Made a lot of significant advancements in aviation safety because of it. Yeah. What's interesting about this dialect of Spanish is it's not words. It is spoken via whistles. So the speakers of this language communicate they translated the entire Spanish language into whistles. And so they communicate cliff to cliff, plateau to plateau, across valley to another valley, via whistles. And you're saying, oh, yeah, they're just saying that is hi and is goodbye. But no, it's actually much more complicated than that. High whistle sounds make an I, and then low whistle sounds make an A, and then the variations in the frequency that you're saying are a series of consonants. So
it's a tonal language to the extreme.
Oh my God!
It's only tones.
Only tones. So the people on this island actually learn this in school from a very young age in order to continue the conversation of this dialect. They all speak Spanish to each other face to face, but they also have the ability to speak in the great distances, like well before telephones, hundreds and thousands of feet apart. What's the most difficult part about this language is you have to be able to whistle very loudly. And if you can't, then you're hamstrung.
Then you're mute.
You're mute.
So the next language, and I'm going to switch to another picture of the Canary Islands because this is fantastic. It's just very picturesque. The third most difficult language to learn is called Ta. But it's not actually pronounced Ta in the language that it's speaking in. It's pronounced Ah. It is from southern Africa, and it has approximately 2,000 to 4,000 speakers in 2 countries in Africa. In contrast to English, for example, there are approximately 44 phonetic sounds that English makes. 26 letters with some variations for each letter.
Yeah.
Ta has 200 phonetic sounds, tons of clicks. In fact, 82% of basic vocabulary starts with a click, and there are no less than 9 distinct clicks. Yeah.
Huh.
That's, yeah.
Wow.
No, cannot do it. The next language, number 2 on the list, is Piraha, which is a language spoken by about 300 people in the Amazon River, just north of Rodinia in Brazil. And it was discovered, well, it wasn't discovered, but it was the understanding of the language was pioneered by a sociologist that was also going down there with the intent of converting these people to Christianity, because, reasons.
Go Jesus.
Their language is actually quite, on a surface level, very simple. It has 8 consonants and 3 vowels. One of the simplest sound systems known yet it possesses such a complex array of tones, stresses, and syllable lengths that its speakers can dispense with their vowels and consonants altogether, singing, humming, or whistling conversations. The gentleman that was attempted to convert these folks to Christianity found it quite difficult, because as soon as he was trying to describe Jesus and all of that, they would ask, "Have you ever met him?" And he would say no, and then the conversation would end, because this language has no abstract constructs. There is no past or future tense. There are no numbers. There are no colors. If you cannot directly observe it, they don't have a word for it. So anything that's abstract, like a number is abstract. It's generated from as a human construct. They don't have words for it. So they have tried to teach even young kids in this culture how to count in Portuguese. They can't do it. They do translational education, so where basically, in order to learn their language, they teach them a language they know and try to bridge the gap. They cannot teach them numbers. They can't teach them counting. They can't teach them colors. There's something called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, that the way that your language communicates determines how you think. So if there are no numbers in your language, you should technically never be able to learn how to count, because you can't understand the context or understanding of what counting is. So,
but there's more than just language learning through translation. There's language learning through observation, through
right. But they don't understand the concept.
Yeah, but still, there's a lot of things, for instance, in Thai that we don't have in English, or vice versa too. So
but this is a deeper. This isn't just like there isn't a word for it. This is a conceptual,
the concept
cultural.
But if you're teaching, I could understand that if you're teaching a 40-year-old this. But it's interesting to me that if you're teaching a child, you're going, okay, we're going to take a child, of like 5 years old and try to teach them Portuguese, that technically, unless their brain development, like their actual physiology is completely different, they should still be able to learn.
Well, but the first 4 or 5 years is like, if all your kid is doing, and again, the actual fathers can maybe clarify this, but all they're doing is watching you and listening to you. Yeah. And even though they may not understand exactly what certain things are, they still put some stuff together to be able to communicate with
Delilah-
you in whatever language you're talking.
So Delilah, we taught about 11 words of sign language before she really started talking. Madison's up to 14, and she a proud father moment of the week. She's 15 months old, and she said, "I love you." It wasn't like crisp, but I said, "I love you," and she said, "Yeah."
Oh,
Like, yes, haha, victory.
That's awesome.
But this symbol in sign language is too difficult for her because of the dexterity. But
yeah.
more milk, all done, all that stuff is present. So getting back onto my topic a little bit.
Yep.
The most difficult language is a constructed language called Ithkul. And Ithkul is a constructed language, as in it was created by a human for the intention of creating a new language. And it's so difficult that even the creator cannot speak it. It was created by a guy named John Kwijata. It has 22 grammatical categories for verbs. It has 1,800 suffixes. It is immensely dense. A 6-word sentence in this language contains 240 English words worth of knowledge. So the example of this 6-word is the description of a painting, describing everything that's happening in the painting, and it's 6 words, and it is complete. It is absolutely nuts. It has 70 phonemes, so not quite twice as many as the English language, but that by far is the hardest. And what's interesting to me, it has a lot of Klingon vibes in its letters, a lot of Klingon vibes. It does. But it's not Klingon, because people actually speak Klingon. This is a constructed language that no one speaks. So the intention of it was to remove all the ambiguity. So instead of having like the word see and the word glimpse, or there's about 17 words in the English language that have some derivative of the word see or glimpse or seen.
To see
all of the
infinitive.
different options. So instead of doing that, you add a vowel or a consonant to the root word see and change it to any one of the 14 other words. And you extrapolate that to all of the other languages, and it's not an English root language. So, woo, fun. Now, so I've talked to you about the 5 hardest languages in my official internet opinion. The average person, average being a relative term, will take 7 years to be fluent in Mandarin. They will take 4.2 years to be fluent in Thai, 2.3 years to be fluent in Swahili, only 11 months to be fluent in Spanish, 10 months to be fluent in English, and Esperanto, only 6 months, which is the official second language for international communication. It is the only constructed language that has native speakers. So it is a constructed language, and that they've actually reared children, and that's their mother tongue now. It was developed by Polish ophthalmologist L.L. Zamenhof, and it approximately has 3,000 native speakers. And it is not geographically restricted. It's across the world.
There is a book series that I very much enjoy called Magic 2.0. I believe it's by Scott Meyer or Myers. And in it, one of the languages that they discuss, and it actually features a little bit of it, is Esperanto.
Yeah, I knew of it. I just didn't know anything other than it existed, and it was in Minecraft too. But I didn't realize it was the second international universal language. That's fascinating to me, because the purpose of language, and this is where I see the most difficult language failing, is the purpose of language is to communicate. It's a lot of people believe that the purpose of language is to speak eloquently in that language, but I disagree with that standpoint. It's like the purpose of art is to create better art. It's like, no, I would disagree with that as well.
Yeah, art.
No matter how two people can communicate, that that is what language allows people to do. Even if you see two people maybe communicating simply, like, you know, my friend and his girlfriend, they communicate very simply in like a mixture of English and Thai from an outside perspective, but they communicate well within that method. So, yeah, and that's different between a lawyer communicating to a jury or a doctor communicating to their staff. Well, so you have
there's two parties involved when you're communicating. You can talk the prettiest Oxford English in the world, but if no one can understand you, what's the damn point?
Yep. Right. Yep. You might as well be speaking that.
Whatever. mess of made a language just to make a language and then made it unbelievably complicated.
I mean, I understand the point of it, but it's just weird. Yeah, I get it, but to me it's already failed.
Oh yeah.
So, an interesting thing, since we're talking about constructed languages, Star Citizen will have 3 constructed languages.
Yep. I was thinking of that when you brought that up.
Yeah. Vandal, Banu, and Xian.
Yeah. Xian, however you want to pronounce it. Jean.
Yeah. There's no official pronunciation for that yet. But
yeah.
Speaking of official pronunciations, USB dash. C is for confusing?
Yes. So, I was trying to figure out, what is my topic going to be? And then I realized I've been dealing with a problem this last week. And that issue involves trying to get a dock for my laptop that will, and I'll get into why I am trying to do that. I'm trying to simplify my life, but there's some reasons why this became difficult. So we all know about USB-A. It's pretty simple. But even with USB-A, which is the physical interface, there's still multiple speeds of USB-A. Let me bring up my...
All I'm thinking about is, like, that's the Canadian USB. But our resident Canadian isn't here, so...
Unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I cropped this image a little bit too much. But you have... Let me bring myself up here. Let me pull up my notes. So you've got USB 1.1, which is really the oldest USB. It was introduced in 1998, and it was at a blazing fast speed of 12 megabits per second, which...
Whoa,
wow. Compared to Serial, though.
Oh, yeah,
which was
incredible.
Measured in baud.
And also, when the data that you're working with at most is like 10 megabytes. So, not, it was still blazing fast for the time. Because your data files are small, so when you're having relatively small speeds for small data files, not too bad. Then we have USB 2.0 that was invented in 2000. So there's only 2 years in between those. And that was also... So the problem with USBs is they also have a also known as. They've got the official standard now, and now the old standard. So the USB 1.1 was also known as full-speed USB. USB 2.0 is known as high-speed USB. And that was at an incredible 480 megabits per second. So between 12 and 480, that's just an outstanding jump. Yeah, amazing. And the interfaces on that was USB-A, B, micro USB-A, micro USB-A, B, mini USB-A, mini USB-B, and kind of USB-C now. Then we get into where things get a little bit more complicated. So there's USB 3.2 Gen 1. Now this is also known as USB 3.0, USB 3.1 Gen 1, just to make things more confusing, or also known as super speed. So if you look on the back of your computer, you might see the USB port and a little SS next to it. And technically, it should have an SS with a 5, because that is 5 gigabits. But nowhere do they actually have the 5. I have not seen a port on my laptop that has that. In my recollections, I don't ever remember seeing the 5 on it, but that's what the logo is supposed to have. And that's USB-A, USB-B, micro USB, and USB-C. And here's where things start to get confusing, is when we get to the generation of USB-C. Because if you have a USB-C dock, and that USB-C dock can have a lot of different peripherals on it, those all take up data, and you're thinking, man, 5 gigabits, that's a lot. That's an incredible amount of speed. And then we get to USB 3.2 Gen 2. And here's where we start to get some problems. So USB 3.2 Gen 2 is also known as USB 3.1, also known as USB 3.1 Gen 2, also known as Super Speed Plus, also known as Super Speed 10 gigabits. And that's denoted with an SS and then a little 10 next to it. Now, I did look on my laptop, and it does actually have that, but it is so small that I had to actually take a picture. In order to see it, I had to take a picture of it with my phone and enlarge it to see the SS10.
Jesus.
And it's, yep, and it's got the DisplayPort Alt mode next to it. So, yeah, it's... Now, the reason why I needed to know this is because I have plugged into that a monitor that is 1440p and 144 hertz. Now, and 10-bit or color. If you do a bandwidth calculator on it, the bandwidth per channel on this monitor is 6.37 gigabit. Meaning that out of 10 gigabit, and there's a total signal bandwidth, and here's where my understanding and research is kind of falling apart, is it says that there's a total signal bandwidth of 19.11 gigabits. I don't know if that is somehow compressed down to 6.37. I did not do the research on this to see. All I know is right now my monitor is working at that 144 hertz, 1440p at 10-bit color depth, or to be more specific, 8-bit plus FRC, which we're not going to even get into that because we don't have the time. The issue is when you start adding other ports that take up bandwidth, you're going to need more speed to go across that. And that's why I was trying to figure out if my computer, because when I looked up at the specifications for my computer, it says that it supports, let's see, where do I have it here? It supports one USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C support DisplayPort, okay, as denoted on that little tiny sticker, or the little tiny, etched in carving, engraving. Now, I didn't see the engraving until after looking for docs, after reading this. I was like, oh, USB 3.2 Gen 2. Okay, that's awesome. That means it probably supports 20 gigabits. However, that is incorrect. So if you look at, give me a second here. I have way too many things up. There we go. So then there's USB 3.2 Gen 2 times 2. So this is USB 3.2 super speed 20 gigabits. Now, the logo on this is an SS20 rather than 10. USB-C, only supported with USB-C, 20 gigabits. So you can see why there's a little bit of confusion, because this is also known as USB 3.2. So this becomes
fucking nerds, man. They cannot do marketing to save their fucking
crazy
life.
nightmare. Yeah, exactly, for consumers. Luckily, they are going to fix this kind of with USB 4. So the last USB 3 is 2017. Exactly, so far. USB-C, the interface in the standard, was supposed to... USB-C interface with USB 3 standard was supposed to fix all of the nonsense. While the physical interface seems to have kind of fixed the nonsense, the naming conventions are problematic.
This is exactly the same fucking problem that I have with Star Citizen's beta numbering system. Once you go
freight units
1,
versus
2,
star
0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8,
Oh,
0.9.
okay. Yeah.
You should go to another full
another
number.
big decimal, not another digit place within the decimal.
Dot 11.
I
is
agree.
1. It's a derivative of addition 0.1.
Yeah.
Just pick a naming
It's
convention.
weird what they did.
Like Xbox, same fucking problem. Pick a naming convention. You had Xbox, then you had Xbox 360, and then you had Xbox One, and then you had Xbox Series 10.
And this
pick
is why
one.
the
Pick a
Japanese
naming
should be in
convention.
charge of all naming conventions from here on out.
No.
No, not Sony. Why?
No.
Oh.
PlayStation
Have
got
you
it
seen
right.
some of their car names?
Yeah, no.
Okay. All right,
Yeah,
fair enough. So
yeah.
USB 4, before we get way off the rails with Japanese cars, from USB to Japanese cars, USB 4, you've got USB 4 Gen 2 times 2, which is USB-C only interface at 20 gigs. You also have, and this is also known as USB 4 20 gigs. Okay, pretty simple. And then you also have USB 4 Gen 3 times 2, USB 4 40 gigs, which is 40 gigs. Both of those standards were introduced in 2019.
So at what point does Moore's Law just take effect and say, don't name anything because we're about to double it?
Yeah.
And the thing is, they've already tried colors of ports. So if you back, like here we go. So you've got white, which is regular USB. And then I don't even know if anybody noticed that was outside of the IT world when they switched the ports to black for USB 2.0. People did notice when they switched to the blue.
ones.
But the problem is the blue ports are not ubiquitous. Because even, I don't even know.
Because it costs
like
0.0001 cents to put that in instead of just...
Then they've got
Whatever.
teal. I've never seen a teal port before. Do you have a teal port on there?
Nope. They are all black, even though they're super speed.
Yep. Then
Well,
you've
then
got
I see
red,
but red,
yellow,
like
and
for-
orange.
but red and orange
Charging.
are kind of power for charging. So now you're...
Yeah, now you're going.
See,
There's too many different. There's power standardizations, which I've talked about before. Then you've got, speed standardizations. Then you actually have the physical port standardization. So if you get over to here, and we've talked about this before, is the different types of USB ports. Thankfully, all these are now gone, and now we have that. So
Much
thankfully, things are starting to get better in that regard. But you still have to pay attention to what cable you have and whether or not that speed can be transmitted all the way with the cable, whether or not the USB has alternate mode to carry other things like DisplayPort.
Whether or not it can transport the correct levels of power across it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's always something. I mean, this is why I have, for charging, I've got this. You can't tell how big and thick this cable is, but it is a
Thick
gigantic USB cable.
Oh, yeah.
So what? I guess what I'm alluding to, before I pass this off, is I really hope we get better at this, because I would say very few people are going to spend the amount of time that I spent. Exactly. You know, when you compare them, you can tell which one is the better one for transmitting power. But the layperson isn't going to know. The layperson
Correct.
is going to get a dock for their computer, expect it to work, and go, oh, wait, this can't transmit this much. This won't work. Or even just an adapter. So there definitely has to be a better convention for these naming, for all of this, because I can tell you that people aren't going to do days worth of research in order to find this.
No way in hell.
Yeah.
And it still leaves me with several questions. So
here's one of the other problems is you have USB with DisplayPort. You have USB just data, and then there's also Thunderbolt to add into all of this.
Yep.
Because when I joined up with the company that I'm with now, somebody flubbed up and ordered Thunderbolt docks for a couple of laptop users, and the model of Dell that we were using at the time did not have Thunderbolt. So we actually still have like 3 or 4 of these very expensive docks
that for
nobody
laptops
can use.
Yeah, for laptops with US or with DisplayPort alt modes out of their USB-C port, rather than a Thunderbolt interface or Thunderbolt.
Well, the docks are Thunderbolt, so none of our laptops can use it because they're just DisplayPort.
Yep.
So confusing even to IT pros.
Just make it simple.
All right.
I understand, like, the logic behind. Sorry, just real quick. I understand the logic behind changing the USB names. It's all about how it's wired and everything like that. But as you guys said, the layperson doesn't give a shit. Call it USB 3.5. That would have made more sense. That's a bigger number. PlayStation 5 is better than the PlayStation 4. That's simple. Xbox 360 versus Xbox Series X. I don't even. What the fuck is the difference?
Yeah.
Dumb. That's
Wi-Fi.
a whole rant.
Wi-Fi, we're now on Wi-Fi 6. The next one will be Wi-Fi 7. This is better because the average user can look and go, hey, my laptop is Wi-Fi 6 compatible. I can get a
Gorilla
Wi-Fi
Glass
6
was doing
modem.
really well with that until this last one with Vindictus or whatever the hell it's called. And you're like,
Invictus.
just call it 7 or 6 or like.
Yeah.
No one cares. It's glass. No one cares if it sounds.
It's
cool.
like
Whatever.
Arctic Silver. Yeah.
No one gives.
All
a
right,
shit.
let's
Fucking
talk
idiots.
about fembots.
Colton. Yeah.
Are they going to have guns
exactly.
come out of their nipples and try to kill you?
No, unfortunately, we're not talking sex bots. I know you perverts wanted it to be that, but
hoeing,
a
as
different
in
kind of hoeing.
farming.
Different kind of hoeing. Different kind of hoeing.
Nice.
Which is the noble hoeing. There's all noble hoeing. That's all I'm gonna say. Oldest professions, both of them. And demonetized. So, I am sure we are at least familiar with how farms work. I mean, most of us either are part of a farming family or grew up in farming areas or just know how the world works. You need farms.
Yep.
You put seeds in the ground, you water them, and boom, you got food. Well, surprise, surprise, it's significantly more complicated than that, especially when looking at it from a modern context.
I know what you're talking about.
According to a Vox Media video, in 1950, a full 12% of the U.S. workforce worked on farms, compared to today, That number is just 1.3%. Combine that with the fact that about 11 million acres of farmland has been lost in the U.S. in the last 20 years due to urban development, changing demographics, and our old friend climate change. The farming industry has been and will continue to see strain on its system for the coming years. And farmers and scientists are turning to emergent technology to combat this. And specifically, they are looking at robotics. So one way farmers are using robotics is actually in harvesting. And let me show you a cool little robot. Boom.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Pictured here is the Agrobot E series, and it is designed to harvest many thousands of strawberries. It has 24 robotic arms that work wirelessly, and using AI, it can determine the ideal ripeness of a strawberry. There are equivalents for harvesting other crops as well, but that is one area of technology where harvesting is important. So another thing that's actually pretty important, Cody might be interested in this, is actually aerial drones, and robotic aerial drones specifically. This is, the company ironically is called Agrobotics, not Agrobot, because again, these nerds can't think of cool names or interesting names that actually make sense. But, let's see here. Using GPS or land-based digital and analog markers, they are a relatively cheap way to automatically monitor hundreds of acres of crops. They can do the obvious thing like taking pictures or videos, but they can and have been fitted with sensors that can determine the moisture content of soil, up to the relative health of crops specifically, and all within an automatic daily route around a field. Super cheap, easier than manually checking every stalk of corn or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. Farming Simulator 22, yes. Fun game, actually. But the one I was most interested in, of course, is hoeing. No, fuck you guys. Or more specifically, weeding in this case. Herbicides and insecticides can be detrimental to an ecosystem and water supply if used incorrectly. And even when used correctly, just the sheer scale of use of these herbicides can do big damage to the environment. There's all these studies on it. But I bet you there are robots for that as well. So here is the Blue River Lettuce Bot 2. It uses an advanced imaging system to thin out lettuce fields and also detects and prevents weeds. It uses machine learning to detect the weeds and precisely applies the correct amount of herbicide automatically to each weed itself. And because of this, it uses 90% less herbicide per acre than conventional methods, along with allowing for significantly higher yields of lettuce. But this tool still uses herbicides, which even at significantly reduced usage can still do damage to the environment, whether it's through runoff from rain, collected at lower parts of rivers. It all adds up. Which to me, obviously, that's kind of an old way of thinking, using herbicides. So how about if we use a robot with motherfucking lasers?
Yes.
Boom, baby. This is the third generation autonomous weeder from Carbon Robotics. It has 12 cameras that scan the ground and an onboard AI which identifies the weeds. Then the robot's carbon dioxide lasers zap the plants and killing it. It can eliminate 100,000 weeds per hour and can weed between 15 and 20 acres per day. Compared to a single human worker who can only do about an acre a day, that's pretty good. And plus, the human workers probably don't want to weed at night. So
yeah, we're gonna get in.
I know what you're thinking, and I know, but
right to repair
still.
Much.
Well, no, there's some other
jobs
issues that we're gonna. Yeah, exactly.
But
we're going to see new Luddites
right
come
but
out of the woodwork
I
with
know.
these.
It's,
unfortunately,
there are million other problems with this concept. Just the fact that
even though food will get way cheaper, cheaper.
You have, just massive farming alone. That alone does a lot of destruction. Like major farmers does damage to the environment. So there's other factors here. This is purely from a technological aspect.
Yeah. No, this would lead to a much larger conversation.
Exactly.
Which
We're talking
we might
this
have
the point of something like this. When I think about technology like this, I don't know if you guys, maybe Charlie's familiar, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with like the concept of what is it? Is it Harvest in the Halo universe? What's that planet? The farming planet, agriculture planet.
Harvest.
They had giant combines that were completely robotic, that sustained entire colonies, and it just that's like hundreds of years, thousands of years in future possibly. But the fact that we could do it now, pretty fucking cool. That's all this is.
Yeah, combine something like this with vertical farming.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a small, it's a proof of concept that can be used on a macro scale if needed, but who knows what can it do. So like that, unlike other weeding techniques such as herbicides and hand weeding, using lasers does not affect the microbiology of the soil, which leads to higher yields as well. So you get more food per acre, which is only a good thing, I would argue. Other things withstanding, of course. So this pick is actually of the 2021 model, which has already been sold out and costs arguably $400,000 to $500,000. But it's actually not that expensive considering it's farm equipment. I mean, again,
and your average tractor runs like 100,000 or something. Just
and
stupid.
the technology in those tractors, which again can get us into the right to repair stuff, but we'll get there in a second. But the farmers who have actually gotten their hands on these particular laser weeders have been more than pleased with the results. So it's pretty cool futuristic stuff. And the reason I was even interested in this topic at all, ironically, was from our rant that we sort of started last week based on Charlie's topic of right to repair. Because turns out the farming industry is a very big battleground for the right to repair. In fact, it's the one that kind of started it and got it serious.
John Deere and Russian firmware on the tractors.
Exactly.
Where so you have your ranchers now becoming the most experienced IT professionals in your area.
Exactly, and that's
who would have called that?
And that's the interesting thing, because think about the technology used in that I've already mentioned. You're gonna have to have a damn computer science degree, or just be really good with machines to keep it going, because that's what a farmer does. They just make it work because they got shit to do. And obviously, that's where the right to repair fight is pretty much. Do you have a right to fix your futuristic laser weeder? I would argue yes. But we'll have to wait for our discussion topic, which just gets a little more interesting every time I think about it.
Yep.
But I think to change it up a little bit, Brandon, LCDs, formulas being halved. What are you talking about?
Lowest common denominator. Oh. But I have a very interesting tie-in to my topic that kind of relates to your topic and Charlie's background right now. What do you think the concurrent player count for Farming Simulator 22 is?
It's probably way higher than it should be.
Currently playing.
It's an amazing. It's actually a really good game.
Down to the second, or people who have installed it in the last week. What's the question?
It currently playing
on Steam. 20 million.
100,000 people.
No, I'm gonna guess.
Oh, not right now.
I'm
not
gonna
right now.
guess.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
it's probably 200,000, 250,000.
Yeah, I'm going 250.
So its peak in the last 10 days, 105,636.
Nice guess.
But when I looked, it was 87,946 concurrent players.
That's still incredible for a farming simulator. But the people that get into
absolutely
those games really get into those games.
The simulator games
yes,
are just...
they do.
Oh, God.
So
Euro Truck Simulator, Farming Simulator.
Train Simulator.
Like Train Simulator.
God damn. So much microtransactions.
So in comparison to that, where do you think Battlefield 2042 would fall?
You would think so much better.
It
but
should be higher than
at
it
its
fucking
peak,
is.
it's probably 5 or 6 million. Concurrent players, probably 250,000.
I'm gonna say right now, 10,000.
Yeah, 15 to 20.
It peaked at 105,397.
Oh, that was the peak.
Just
That's
under
it.
Peak.
the peak.
Fucking Battlefield game.
Current-
That is fucking wild. That's free money.
Current. Oh yeah,
I feel
concurrent
bad
players.
for giving them.
Concurrent players 49,348.
Oh my god.
Half.
And the game came out what,
Half.
like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago?
10 days
That's
ago.
like-
Battlefield.
And it sucks.
10 days ago.
Oh, that
So-
should tell Electronic Arts something. Yeah.
It won't.
Oh yeah.
They'll never learn.
So the original intro to this that I had was, is it just me or are you sick of the battle royale shtick? It's as bad as building, crafting, survival games of a few years ago, and worse than the zombie FPS phase before it.
Oh, jeez.
Battlefield. Yeah. Battlefield has always been on the cusp of this genre since its inception. But games like Battlefield 1942, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 2142 were all hallmarks of their generation. They all also had single player.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, 2142,
Asterisk.
Battlefield 2,
Asterisk.
yeah.
Yeah.
But all of the games were fun to play, hard to render, and difficult to master. DICE's latest entry to the franchise, Battlefield 2042, not 2142, 2042, had high hopes, but just 10 days after its release is seeing massive drops in player count and an incredible amount of negative reviews on Steam. Currently on Steam, I checked just before we started recording the show, there are 71,636 negative reviews for Battlefield 2042
Jesus.
across its international market.
That is fucking
On-
wild.
It's nuts. On the Steam store screen, it shows user reviews, mostly negative.
Yep.
Not something you really want to see if you're DICE or EA.
Money
Not for
talks.
a brand new.
Yeah. No, this might be the notice that. Yeah.
As a side note,
Yeah.
I would just like to say that Halo Infinite is currently 200,000 plus.
Yeah. It's
It's a good game. It's a
I
good
mean, it's
game.
not bad.
Game.
It's a good game.
It,
It's better
It
than
is a good
2140
Halo
or
game.
2042.
2042.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I would not say it's
2020,
better than
2042.
2142. It's
Yeah, I was
different.
going
Oh.
to say those are going to be
I-
fighting words. I haven't tried
Okay.
Infinite. I'll have to watch somebody play it.
'Kay.
But
I'll
so
do it right after this.
here's the thing. Everybody's making remakes right now. Why hasn't EA remade 2142? For the
I
love
don't-
of God, just bring it back. Don't change anything. Up the
Better-
graphics,
yeah.
restart the server. That's all you need to do, and I
there
will
were
gladly
even
pay
community
$60 for
developments.
it.
There were community developments that they shut down.
Yep.
That be, like that's the part that gets me is the
Like,
fact that
on a-
they're
On a
they
side note,
know
you got,
what the community wants.
well, you got Rockstar kind of, not to steal Brandon's thunder a little bit, but you got Rockstar kind of with their GTA trilogy release where it had a vibrant modding community, and they went out of their way to throw litigation on those modders, and then took down all the original games for sale.
And the problem with that was you had to have the original assets in order for their upgraded mods to work. It was selling the old game.
Yep. Give
Like, these
All
give
it was
your
doing is
customer
bringing
what
more
they
funding.
want. Give the
People
customer
will buy
what they
your
want.
shit. They'll buy your shit if it's good. If it just works.
Yeah.
If
Look
it's,
at
if it's
even if it doesn't
piracy
work,
is a
look at
service
Star
problem.
Citizen.
Simple as that.
Yeah. No, you're right. Piracy is a service problem. Look at what Steam did to piracy in video games.
Oh, God.
Dropped dramatically
Okay.
because it was easier to buy games.
I want to call it right now. Our next discussion topic needs to be piracy.
That's next week.
Well,
I
I don't know about our next, but it's
we'll
definitely
see.
maybe in our
We'll
next
see.
or next one. Well,
Yeah.
it's an option. I'm throwing it on there right now.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm putting it on the list. It needs to be on the list. It's a good one.
It's on the list. It's on the list. It'll be on the list.
It needs to be.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it.
So
But
Let me get
yeah,
back-
Star Citizen even giving people what they want, and they're throwing money at it. There's some controversy.
Over $400 million.
Yeah.
And that's just in player funding.
Yep. All right. Sorry, Brandon.
Okay. That's all right. So we already talked about initial player base and where it's at currently. But what's the problem with the game? Well, it's uninspiring gameplay, bugs galore, and an unfinished product. Could DICE EA resolve the issues? Absolutely. But if we look at games from their past, like Battlefield Bad Company 2, these fixes aren't actually going to resolve any of the player base issues with the game. Just to give you an idea of just how bad 2042 is, here's the most helpful positive review. And this is thanks to Steam user Cosmic Jays. The only reason to buy this game is for the Portal mode. Even DICE knows this. Portal, A-. The game DICE actually made, F.
Fucking
Positive review. Oh.
Positive review. A lot of the other top positive reviews were just, despite the hate, I still love this game. And that tells me exactly, because if there were actually positive points,
they would call out the aspects, not I love. They wouldn't call out the.
I've been a Battlefield fan for 15 years, and I'm an EA cuck, so meh.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look at all of us talking about Star Citizen. Currently,
I can
for the
tell
average
you
user,
why.
it is a failure. But we can. All of
I can
us
tell
go
you
into
why
deep
specifically.
dives.
And they have 750,000 concurrent users. 750,000.
Is that what Star Citizen has?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
it's also Free Fly
True.
Weekend
and
IE.
Pause. Fortnite. Guess what Fortnite has?
Is this still the biggest game? So it's got
Does
to
it-
have
does it-
3.5
2
million.
million.
3.5 million.
Yeah.
80.4 million monthly active users. 4 million concurrent every day.
Okay.
Not surprised.
Jesus.
Biggest game in the world. Still.
Yeah.
After
I
all
have
these
never
years
played
on
a
the Blaze.
minute of Fortnite.
I like it.
I have, and you're not missing much.
Better than PUBG.
So what I've been told about Fortnite, and this is my internet opinion, is that Fortnite is that episode of Family Guy where Peter's trying to blow up the Amish barn and they keep on rebuilding it. I will insert
accurate,
here.
Accurate.
I liked what they were touting as Fortnite at the beginning of when I heard about Fortnite was a game where you built a base and defended against hordes of things. That sounded cool to me.
That would have been fun.
The weird stuff when I've watched Summit 1G or whatever the hell his name is, or Shroud or whatever, Ninja. Like all of those and the way that I see it being played, that does not appeal to me on any sense. Now, I am happy with Fortnite and what it's doing with gaming as a whole in some
Bringing
ways.
It very mainstream.
Because now gaming is getting the attention that it deserves, and some of my business ideas in my head are now not so far-fetched.
Like Forts.
Well, so gaming has made it mainstream. I think we can all agree that gaming is now a mainstream conversation.
Yep.
Part of it is thanks to games like Fortnite, making it big, making headlines.
CSGO, Overwatch, all of these
Halo,
League of
Minecraft.
Legends that have, the esports scene. Like that's huge. A bar that I go to that's an Australian bar in Thailand, on one of their TVs, now granted it's a small picture-in-picture, usually has an esports thing on it. That's where we've gotten to.
Yeah. And honestly, the 2 years of travel restrictions, lockdowns, and boredom has only helped make it even that much more mainstream.
Partly why we can't get a fucking graphics card right now.
Or an Xbox. But Steam broke records over this Thanksgiving with an all-time peak of how many users do you think?
On Steam?
So this is only
Steam?
PC platform. Steam. Just on Steam.
Oh,
20 million?
70 million.
I'm gonna go 50. I'm gonna split the difference.
Seeker is the closest without going over. 27,384,959 users.
That's
That's over 2-day period. That's wild.
yeah. That's crazy.
3-day period, I guess. But
Well, that is the peak concurrent user count. That is the highest peak concurrent user count ever recorded at Steam.
And that's just Steam. That's not Epic
That's-
Game Store. That doesn't include Fortnite.
that,
Like-
that doesn't
Yeah.
include fucking Xbox,
Anything other
Game
than
Pass, all that
Steam
shit.
on
That's
PC.
just-
Yeah,
That's
that is
PC
one
master race
specific
shit.
store on PC, which Bangkok Bank won't allow you to transact with.
Call back.
So, unfortunately, companies are choosing to make a cash grab by releasing half-finished products at full cost. Additionally, these greedy corpo fucks are also jumping on the bandwagon of, right now, it's mobile games and it's gacha games.
Crypto
And-
games soon.
Crypto games is still kind of starting out. But then
Ubisoft
the Battle
and
Royale
EA have
scene.
both already mentioned the NFTs are the fucking future
Oh,
of games
Jesus.
somehow.
It's
which-
it's not a bad
dumb.
thing. Okay,
Here's
just
no,
naming
here's-
it
I'm
is
gonna
stupid,
tell you,
but actually,
I already know what you're gonna say. Sorry, I'm not trying to. But the problem is how they're seeing it. How they're seeing
Yeah,
it being
yeah.
used is to transfer stuff between games when they can do that now. They just don't fucking want to. So fuck them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I do not like EA.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So, Cody, you've already taken a guess at what the next bandwagon is. Charlie, and what do you think the next bandwagon is going to be? Like, what genre is the bandwagon?
Oh. What do I think the next genre of game is going to be? I want to take a moment on this. I feel like indie is really popular right now. I feel like RPG,
not really
a
like
genre,
turn-based
though.
RPG is pretty big
Peggle.
right now.
Yeah. When did I guess?
Party. Any
you
games
guessed
that
it
you
with
can.
NFTs.
I would say your
I mean, you can take another guess if you want.
I would say like medium party size games, like kind of like our carrier command
That's what I was gonna
game.
say.
Okay.
Like I'm thinking like Fall Guys. I'm thinking of games that were granted that was like last year stuff.
Games
but-
where a group of people have to all buy the game at $30-$40 a pop in order to play together, and they have to have the group in order to play.
It depends on what happens with Omicron. Depends on what happens with Omicron.
Fair statement. Fair statement.
Because then yes, I absolutely agree with you. Because
I can't believe they're
that's
calling it Omicron. Sorry, that's a whole other
yeah,
What is it?
marketing thing. I only think of the Futurama.
the new variant. The new variant.
So the thing is, like,
Oh.
they went with the naming convention of the Greek alphabet, so it would not be a geographic naming convention.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people would be calling this the South African variant, and they would have been calling
Which
Delta
is
the Indian
the whole
variant.
thing.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a whole fucking bullshit too. But
Yeah.
Okay.
sorry.
Which is fair. I understand why they did it, and it's a decent reason
Yeah.
because basically it's like who
People are
has the
terrible.
best scientist at detecting things is. Yeah, there's arguments to be made.
All right, Brandon, please finish your
Anyway.
topic.
Colton, what do you think the next genre is going to be? Like the next thing that everyone is going to be making a game of?
I'll stick with my NFT answer, just because that's what they've already said they want to do.
Yeah, and I'm not
So-
gonna hedge. I'm gonna stick with crypto and NFT games. Now
Okay.
that can cover a variety
So-
of genres, but I think it's
Yes,
gonna
it
be.
can.
I think it's gonna be
That's going to be the
meta
core,
simulated
concept.
world games.
Yep.
Social
more like
experiences.
lifestyle
So-
games.
Yeah, so basically bigger versions of rather than being a 3-person party. I think we're gonna see the rise of the MMO again.
Okay. I think personally it's going to be space-based games. And I mean that too can kind of cover a lot of the stuff. NFTs, medium crew. So I'm already seeing it happen. So
yeah,
as you
but
guys
it already
know,
started. It already did
yeah,
it,
but it
like 3 years ago.
15 years
yeah,
ago.
but now that is becoming the kind of like we're on the shoulder of it. Like
Okay.
it's getting ready to roll over, and
I can see
everyone
that.
is going to be making it because I'm already seeing it happen. As you guys know, the three of you that are currently on, I did all of my Christmas shopping for my friends already. So I looked through all of my friends' wish lists.
Thank
And
you.
this is kind of what sparked this idea. Well, thank you and your insanity, sir.
And I want to
So-
apologize to Cody because I can't buy you games.
Brandon did.
Yeah.
It
I
failed
was
for
able
me.
to.
It wouldn't let me do it.
Okay. It must be if the
interesting.
game is cheaper in the
Oh,
US,
region
you
locked.
wouldn't be. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
It's
Okay.
all right. It's all right. No offense taken.
Okay.
Little offense taken.
So, anyway, I was seeing a disturbing trend among my friends. Space games. Often more than 3 on a wish list. It's where the hype kind of currently is, thanks to games like Star Citizen, No Man's Sky, and Elite Dangerous. And I'm also worried that this current trend could hamper Star Citizen because of its incredibly long development cycle right now.
Incompleteness.
So I'm worried that by the time it fully releases, or by the time it gets to the minimum sustainable release that they're talking about, that there's not going to be enough gain of traction from your average general gamer base, because they're going to be tired by this of the space genre at that point. Just like right now,
They'll
I
have
am
played
so tired of-
Battlefield in
Well-
space.
Yeah.
Well, they've already had one of the not Battlefield. They had a COD in space, but I don't know if I agree with that assessment exactly. Jokingly, I'll think most of their supporters will be dead by the time the fucking game comes out. But on a serious note, the fact, what was it? Charlie said 750,000 users, and granted, yes, it's a free fly weekend, and maybe that does indicate your point, Brandon. I think I'm that way, right? Whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
That, yeah, right now it's hot, but it's all about if they make a good product, people will freaking flock to it.
Yeah,
There's enough people.
because
There's
it's
enough.
just gonna be
There's
that
enough FOMO
initial-
just with. There's enough. I mean, once the game comes out, if it comes out anywhere near what they're stating, I'm sure we will be recommending it to our friends, even just to get them into it.
I'm already recommending it based on this
Yeah.
patch, because
I-
there is
I did
a
a
game
mission-
loop, as long as they understand that there will be a reset between now and live. At least one, if not.
I did a mission that
One
I
every
didn't know
3 months.
existed.
If-
I did a
here's
mission
part-
in a cave with a friend, shooting people in a cave.
If it's
Yes.
only what is that cheapest ship to actually get is the Aurora?
Aurora.
What's that?
Aurora
25
Mustang.
bucks? 25,
45.
40, 30,
40,
$45?
Well,
That's cheap.
Right now, yeah, I think right now they're running a special if it's a new account.
Right.
for,
But my
like,
point
30
is
or something.
if they want to do it, the starter ship should be less, like a third of a $60 AAA game. Then even the parents who have no idea will be like, "Oh, this game's only $20 to get my kid in."
I
like
actually have a different opinion. I think if you're gonna do the drug dealer thing, the first hit's free. Your starter ship is free, free to play.
just make it a
That's-
free to play
you,
concept.
You have the choice
No,
to earn shit in game, but
no, the
your
worst,
Aurora
the
and your
worst
Mustangs
thing
are
that
free.
could happen to Star Citizen is it could go free to play. The worst thing.
It already has kind of a
Well,
free to play vibe in some ways.
It's free to play, pay to win.
Let me clarify.
It's pay to win.
No, it's
Because-
not.
It's not
Yeah,
pay
it
to
is.
win.
No,
Everybody has a
I-
different
no.
version of winning that game.
Yeah,
Fair
I can
statement, but-
absolutely tell you from flying different ships around that it is absolutely pilot skill, and there's a lot of rock paper scissors going on in combat. It is.
But if you have a hammerhead
I
with
will-
a full crew, I will eat your Connie for lunch.
you will not eat an Ares Starfighter for lunch. What costs less?
Until they change it 15 times and the game comes
Right.
out. To be fair,
You will not eat an Aegis Eclipse for lunch. Again, you will not eat a bunch of players that have got Scourge railguns and have deployed silently around the battlefield for lunch. Pay to win against that.
And how do
But
you
here's
get
the-
those things, Cody?
But it's but on a one-on-one fight.
Go to someplace.
You go
in the
buy
universe,
them.
You buy.
You go buy them.
Right now, you go
And
buy
a
them.
Scourge
That's the
railgun
point.
is what 5,000 credits in game.
But,
And the ammo
Cody,
is what 60
You
credits.
have to admit, right now, it is kind of pay to win. Yes, in a straight fight between two similar ships, yes, I would agree that's pilot skill. But if you can
I will
afford the
say, though-
$500 fucking whatever, I can't think of any of the 300
And
ships
you
right now.
have to
But
have
versus
friends.
an Aurora, it's obvious which one is going to win that fight. Doesn't matter if
Okay.
you're.
And right now you need to
Most
have
of the
friends.
time.
How much-
But soon you're gonna
how
have AI
much
crew, and then
space-
you don't need friends.
I'm just curious.
Just
both
so
of
you know, you're all
combined,
replaceable.
How much have you played recently, and how much space combat experience do you have?
How much have I played recently? I've crashed
Yes,
about
yes.
6 times in the last month. That's how much I've
Okay.
played. And
So
space
your
combat
experience-
I have almost as many hours as you do in not this game.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you don't have experience fighting yet. You're saying that the fighting is pay to win.
What I'm experiencing is the meta on YouTube and watching people play. I don't have to be the pilot to observe.
I can tell
So
you from
my
my personal
counterpoint-
experience of flying. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So let me make my counterpoint, and then let's move on because we're already at an hour and almost 20.
Yeah.
My counterpoint to that, Charlie, is that you can currently, with an Aurora, which is the base, like the cheapest Aurora, go out, make money, and you can run missions, you can do different things in the verse to make in-game money, and it would take a while, but you can buy better ships in the game.
Absolutely.
I
There
agree.
is no
You
guarantee.
currently, having invested thousands of dollars, bypass hundreds of hours of progress, which is exactly the concept behind pay to win. That is pay to
If
win.
you are a skilled,
It doesn't matter if I'm skilled. You have lifetime insurance.
Let's stop. Hang on. I do agree with Charlie from a concept, because think about other games we've talked about. The grind. They always talk about like free XP bonuses and shit like that. Think of it as it's basically an XP bonus. You don't have to spend. Yes, you could get the
because
Bengal
it's not
Tiger
stat
eventually.
space.
But again, there is a difference between the higher tier ships and this lower tier. Don't tell me there isn't, because there is. And yes, you can.
There
You
absolutely
can.
is.
How
beat-
good is a Hornet
it's-
at cargo running?
Oh my God, Cody, stop. Let me finish. I agree with everyone's right. The point Charlie's trying to make is you can skip all the bullshit to get the better ships. That's pay to win. That is the definition. Yes, if your goal is to beat other players in a firefight, you have a better ship. You're probably going to, all other things being equal, you're going to win that fight. Don't care. That's
Now-
yes. If a really good lower level person who's going to have a better ship anyways because they're really good at the game, so they're already going to have better ships. So again, it doesn't. We're
Now,
all far, and again we're talking about an alpha
here's-
game, so down the globe it could be completely different.
Here's the last point I'll make on this, and then we're going to move on. If you look at the grind, and you were to pay yourself your hourly wage at work for every hour that you play in the game, what is the offset between buying the ship versus paying for the grind?
If you could afford a $500 ship, you don't give a fuck. Money is not really a problem to you, on some level. I understand what you're saying, and again, maybe down the. I mean, in the end, you're not going to be able to buy ships, really, right?
Right.
Isn't that kind of the end goal?
Exactly. That's the end
So
goal.
the
Is
early adopters are going to have more powerful ships automatically, but that's a whole nother thing. But it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because honestly, I'm adding Star Citizen as a topic because we get really fucking heated and I love it. So we're adding Star Citizen as a topic, or maybe this type of thing. But anyways, move on.
All right. So what's my point with everything that I've been talking about? My point is that AAA game development isn't what it used to be, and game development in general isn't what it used to be. A few bad actors within the market have allowed half-finished games to become a tolerated thing. I had my time messing with Steam's early access program, buying into the promise of a full game and getting a discount on it by essentially kickstarting it. Around the same time that I first bought into Star Citizen is about the time I realized that these early access games are a bad idea. Games like Starforge, which languished in early access for years before finally just stopping development and dying, and Star Drive 1 and 2, both of which promised multiplayer but never delivered, have thoroughly soured my opinion of early access games. And on so many of you guys' wish lists, I see early access games that have been in that state for years.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of those games.
I wonder how many.
If they ever come out, I'll get a message.
I like how Jack called us
That's the
disgusting.
same thing I'm doing. No.
I would just like to point out
these early access games are what is absolutely disgusting. And yes, you're probably going to point out that I still buy into Star Citizen, even though it's basically early access right now. And that is the one game that I have allowed myself to continue funding in early access, just because I can see the progress. I can see the state of the game getting better and better with each patch. You have a massive amount of developers in this company. You have various locations. You have independent funding from us backers, as well as funding from a much larger backer that is basically propelling this into full development. Is there still a chance that something could happen, like another global pandemic or global disaster, that would cause my nearly $3,500 investment to go away? Yeah, absolutely. It's a risk. But during this entire time, I have not paid for any monthly games. That has been my deal with Star Citizen all along, is I do not pay monthly MMO fees, because before this I was paying for 3 EVE accounts, because I was playing EVE a ton. 3, yep, at $20 a month. So I was paying $60 a month for games.
It adds up.
It does. That is a AAA title every month. I have not done that. I did the math today while I was talking to a coworker, because I looked at some of the ships and realized just how much the prices have gone up.
Yeah.
Like my Banu Merchantman, I originally bought that for just over $300. And all of my ships, I have never at one time spent more than $100.
I gotta agree with Colton here that I think this is leading to a bigger discussion episode on Star Citizen itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we talked about
so.
it for a long time. We should definitely make a discussion. It's on the list, so.
Yeah.
I apologize, Charlie. I didn't mean to attack you there as much as I did.
Fuck all of you.
You were kind of going after the jugular there, Cody.
So
I'm
I
sorry.
would just like to point out that there is something disturbing on all my friends' wish lists on Steam. And yes, you can definitely see a trend on mine, Brandon. I don't disagree with you. I have 6 games on my wish list. Now, thanks to your purchase, I appreciate it. MechWarrior 5 is fantastic. I'm currently stuck in a loading screen between matches, between systems. Yeah.
We all have it. That's why we did that.
Yeah, I know. So it is fantastic. Thank you very much. It has sat on my wish list far too long. I have 6 games. Colton, you have over 50.
I have 137.
You have I said fuck that. I'm not counting that many. Brandon, you have 16, and Cody, you've got like 20.
Yeah,
like,
I know. I need to clean it out. It's just
Colton. Colton, I considered buying every single game that you had on your wish list for less than $5. It would have bankrupted me.
It's because I see something online or I'll listen to a podcast.
Ooh,
Like,
shiny.
that game looks interesting, but I don't need it right now. But maybe it'll be on sale.
And when will
and
you
then
be
I
able
forget
to
about
play
it.
Like,
And then like
that's
6
the thing
years
I-
down the road, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I added that 7 years ago.
Well-
I'm like, that probably would have been a cool game to play back then. Now I don't want it anymore. I'd probably just
I-
go through and clean
so-
it.
I don't
That's
have
something
a
else I
full-time
had to do.
job right now, and I don't have enough time to play the games on my on my Steam list.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh no,
Yeah.
there are still
Okay,
30 or 40
okay,
games
let's-
I've never played on my Steam list.
Just
Probably more.
out of curiosity, how many games? Just
God, how do
Total
you find
number.
that? How do you find that? It's gonna be bad. I feel bad
392
for
No.
me.
on Steam.
go to you. How many?
392.
Jesus,
Okay.
I thought I was
where,
bad.
Where is it? Where
So
is
you
it?
go to
You-
library.
you
click
tap
off
library.
recent and playable, and it shows all on the top of the list, and it'll say out of how many you have.
Wait.
Or you can
Oh,
click
you
the
go
pull
to
down where it
games.
says games and software and
Yeah.
just read off games.
Or
Okay,
just
games is 402.
402. So I'm not that.
Jesus.
I'm 10. I'm 10 behind. Cody.
380.
How many?
380. 380.
Okay, so you're
Holy
you're
crap,
12
I
behind
am-
me. Brandon.
I am nowhere near that bad. I thought I was going to be one of the worst. 287.
So you're 100
Yep.
behind us.
I mean, that's
But if
still
you
not
count-
good. But
Get your
you
shit
count-
together.
all of the money you've spent on Star Citizen, you would beat all of us.
No.
oh yeah.
No, Cody
Not
would
me.
win. Cody would
Yeah.
win that fight.
Cody
Just because
would-
he has the 100-game Lima already.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
because
that's
he
fair.
already has the game ahead, and I
Yeah.
think Cody spent a couple $100 more than me on Star Citizen.
I'll give you just that. Yep. We'll call it right there.
All right, Brandon, take us home, please.
Okay.
Unless you have an important point to make right before. Yeah.
So my last sentence, which is pretty much where I was at anyway. What I need from game companies is to stop with the early access, stop with the pre-alphas, stop with the alphas, and stop releasing software that isn't fucking ready. If it's not ready, don't push it out.
The game companies need to go back to the 90s. Like, I hate to say
Yeah,
it,
absolutely.
but they've used patches as a crutch.
I would
Rather
clarify
than
that even
patches
farther. I think people that actually fucking play video games need to be in charge of these companies. Because the ones in charge are not
Yeah.
really at the
Yeah,
upper,
they're
higher,
investors.
highest
They're not-
level. They're investors,
not
or they bought
gamers.
they bought the
Chris
publisher when it was.
Roberts.
He
He
plays
does
games.
play though.
Yeah.
I was
And-
gonna say
Okay,
like Bobby.
okay.
Honestly, that's
And we'll
probably
use
part
that
of why.
Yeah, we'll use that
development
as
is
a
taking so
stepping
long.
stone.
Oh, I
we'll,
can't
we'll
wait
use
for
all
our
of
fucking-
this.
We're gonna get so mad at
Okay.
each other and start.
Oh God, there will be
It's gonna be
feuds.
so much fun. It's gonna be
There
so,
will
so many
be
we are
blood.
divided right down the fucking middle on this one so much. I love it.
There will
Alright.
be blood.
Charlie, where can we find you?
You can find me here every week. I am going to contribute to the techpirate.com or .net at some point.
It'd be pretty bad if I
that's
contributed
probably
to
has
the
to
Sorry,
Dot
.net. I
net.
corrected
Dot
myself. I'm sorry. I will contribute at some fucking point. I just don't know when that will be. I will. I have a guess that I might contribute before Brandon does, but it's fine. It's his website. It's fine. He owns it. He's had it.
I know
longer. It's fine.
Seeker has just been carrying me this for like the last year.
He
It's
is
the dream, bro.
I will
need
say
to
this:
get better.
Colton is the most active creator in this group.
Yeah.
You can also
Yes.
find me on Twitch. I have
Easily.
been streaming again. I've been playing a lot of Halo Infinite. You're gonna catch us,
Hell
four
yeah.
of us, doing Carrier Command 2 because that's a lot of fun and there's a lot of nuance to it. And I've been learning a fuckload through YouTube tutorials on that. I hope you guys have because I don't want to have to carry the team.
Well, do that tonight now, I guess.
That'd be
Yep.
Brandon.
That's what my homework's going to be.
Yeah, Wednesday night, by the way. I hope everyone's ready. Wednesday
Wait,
night?
today's Monday for you.
Yep.
So Wednesday
nights.
night.
Today is
Wednesday
Monday.
would be
2 days from now.
Thursday. 2 days from now.
Thursday
Okay.
morning for you, Cody.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Snapchat, all of the things. Colton.
The name's Colton Roper. I go by Seeker4761 on all the socials as well as on the YouTubes. Speaking of YouTube, I did just post another Game Review Thursday, which is about killing spiders with fire. So
I saw
Cody might
that.
be interested
It
in that
was-
shit.
Highly
I watched
amusing.
it. He did. Colton did an excellent job with that. You
Yeah,
should
and
watch it.
I recorded
It was-
that fucking
it was
thing
as
twice
though-
because I fucked up the audio the first time.
It was as though I was watching Cody nearly burn his mom's house down all over again.
So much fun.
I love it just everywhere.
I am also a contributor to the also a contributor to the techpirate.net as well. And Cody, what about you?
I'm Cody Stratman, also known as Psycho Nitrous, also known as Zito Valder, also known as Roman Geek, because I can't choose a name. So I am everything everywhere. You can
many
find
names.
you can find me on Twitch as Psycho Nitrous. You can find me on Instagram as Zito Valder. And I have contributed once to the techpirate.net, so
One more
a
than
year
me.
ago. I guess it counts. It's a number. Anyway,
More recently than me.
Infinitely more times.
that
than I
is
have, yes.
frightening. That is frightening.
It is.
All right, why don't you tell us
Okay.
where we can find you, since it's obviously not there.
Well, it's not really anywhere at the moment. I am currently hiding in a cave. I live in a cave. I work in a bunker. You can't find me except right here. But
Anyone in the comments, I will be posting the workplace address and home address of Brandon Vader.
oh, thanks. Just what I need is docs.
Hey, UPS might be able to actually get you your packages.
Don't
I know.
start
Rather than
now. Wait.
Yeah,
Save it,
good point.
save it,
Good
having
point.
my
Yeah.
shit sent to my parents' house. Anyway, you can find me on the techpirate.net, where I promise I am going to start contributing again. It will probably be in the new year just because of craziness at work and home life. But I do have a iPad article half written from the purview of a Windows and Android fanboy. So watch out for that. It's highly interesting, I think. I hope. I am working on getting all of my different socials converted over to Captain Drac or Captain Dracanus, where Drac is already taken for some reason.
Or too short.
Probably because it's a... Yep. Yeah, and I think we're going to close it there. Thanks for joining us on this episode of This Week I'm Learning. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as on YouTube at This Week I'm Learning. For your social media peeps out there, you can find us on Twitter at This TWIL. If you'd like to contact us, you can, of course, send an email to twil@techpirate.net. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And now I've got Staying Alive stuck in my head. Staying alive, staying alive. Because that should still be the CPR method, not
it is
Baby Shark.
And actually, I prefer Another One Bites the Dust by Queen.
Yeah.
You can't sing that one with the family around. There's no points of work.
No. It's way more okay if you're going rather than do boom 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 boom.